Hey everyone, welcome back. If you've been following along by now, you know how to declare variables and store data. But data sitting still doesn't do anything useful. You need to operate on it. That's exactly what operation operators are for. Today, we are covering three types: arithmetic operators, comparison operators, and logical operators. And by the end, you'll be writing expressions confidently. So let's start. Let's start with the familiar ones, arithmetic operators. These do math on numbers. So for example, we have int a is equal to 10, then int b, which is equal to what? 3. So what do we do? Let's do the arithmetic operations on them. So we have system dot out, then we have a plus b, that is addition. Then we have system dot print line a minus b. This is what? So this is what? Addition. So the answer will be what? 13. Then here too, the answer will be what? 7. Subtraction. Then we move on to the next one. Then you have what? A times what? B. So this one will give us what? 30, which is what? Multiplication. And then the next one, so we have what? A, then divide by what? B. So what will we get? We get 3 division. I'll explain why we are getting the 3 here. Then the last one, we have what? A modulus what? A modulus B. And the answer will be what? 1. That is what? Modulo. That is the remainder. We are only concerned with what? The remainder. Most of these are obvious, but let me flag 2 that trips beginners every time. Let's print this one and see. So you see, everything here works just as we wanted it to. However, when you divide 10 by 3, we don't expect the answer to be what? 3. We expect it to be what? 3 point something. When you divide integers in Java, the result is also an integer. The decimal part is silently dropped. So 10 divided by 3 gives you 3 instead of what? 3.33. If that is a surprise to you, it caught a lot of people off guard. So what can we do? We can make one of the variables what? A double. And previously we said that a double is what? For floating point numbers with decimal point. So here we can actually change the a to double. Then we make this place 10.0. So let's run it again. Let's see. So you see here we get what? 3.33333. Yes, that shows that it is what? A floating point number. And we can see that the others are also having what? Floating point, because we made one of the variables what? A double. So if you want to get a precision, if you want to get the decimal point or the values after the decimal point, then you can make at least one of the variables what? A floating point number. Then the next one is what? The modulus. This one, the modulus gives you the remainder after division. So the remainder after the division, so 10 modulus 3 is 1, because 3 goes into 10 3 times with 1 left over. We usually use this. You might sound strange to you, but you will use this constantly, especially to check if a number is even or odd. So let's try this one. So you have an int number which is equal to what? 8. Then we see that system dot out, we have number modulus what? 2. So number modulus what? 2. So in this case, what will be the answer? If the number modulus 2 is 0, it means that the number is what? Even. If it is 1, it means that it is odd. So you can use this one to check whether a variable or a number is even or odd. And one more thing, Java has a shorthand operators for updating a variable in place. You see this everywhere, so get comfortable with them. So what are these variables that we are talking about now? So for example, we have int x, which is equal to 5. Then we have x plus plus. What does this mean? So this means that x is now what? 6. It means that increment by what? By 1. That's what it means. This one means increment by 1. Then you have what? X minus minus. What do you think is minus minus? What do you think this is? It means that what x now is what? X is now what? 5. You increase it to 6. Now we've decreased it to what? 5. So decrement by what? 1. That is what we have here. Then we also have x plus or equal to what? 3. So what will be the answer? X is now what? 8. We increase it to what? X is 5. We increase it to 6. We decrease it to 5 on line 5. Then we increase it to what? 3. So x is now 8. So we add what? We added 3 to it. Then we have what? X times what? Or equal to what? 2. So now we have to what? Multiply. So x is now what? 16. We had 8 here on line 6. We had 8 here. So we now multiply it by 2 to get what? 16. So those are the shorthand. Now let's move on to the next type of operators. That is what? Comparison operators. These compare two values and always return a boolean. Remember from our previous one, we said that a boolean is what? True or false. So let's emphasize on that. Let's put it into practice. So we have what? Int again, x is equal to 10. Then int y is equal to what? 5. Is x equal to y? X. This means x is not equal to y. Then the next one, x is greater than what? Y. You have what? X is less than what? Y. So we will find out what these values what will print. X is greater than or equal to 10. We also see whether it is true or false. Then you have x less than or equal to what? 10. So let's take it one by one. From this line, we know that from line 4, we know that x is equal to what? 10. And y is equal to what? 5 on the line 5. Now, when we come here and print is x is equal to y, the answer will be what? False. Because x is 10, y is 5. They are not equal. Then the next one is x not equal to y. The answer is true. X is not equal to y. So this one will give us what? False. And this one will give us what? True. Because not equal. Then we have greater than. Is x greater than y? X is greater than y. Then is x less than y? It is what? False. And is x greater than or equal to 10? X is 10. So it is equal to. So x is greater than. So here too is what? True. Then is x less than or equal to 10? X is not less than 10. However, it is equal to what? 10. So let's run the program and see. So you can see here that yes, it works as we wanted it to. Everything here is exactly what we want it to, or we want them to. Good. There's one thing we need to take notice here. This one, the single equal to sign is different from the double equal to sign. The single equal to sign is to assign what is on the right to the left. That is single equal to sign. However, the double equal to sign is what to compare. So x is equal to 5 means what assignment, and x equal to 5 is what a comparison, and asks if x is equal to 5. And also there is one more thing. When comparing strings, we don't use what the equal to. So when you are comparing two strings, so you have string name equal to Alice. Here, when you are comparing, we use this one rather. We don't use what the equal to. Because this is a string, we use the string method, not the double equal to. This one helps us to compare. So when you use the equal to, you can actually get what? True. However, it is not reliable. So for strings, please use this. And for integers and numbers, use what the double equal to sign. With that said, we have to move on to the logical operators. So what are the logical operators? So for the logical operators, when you understand this one, then your code can actually move to the next level. This lets you combine multiple comparisons to make more complex or to ask more complex questions. And you have three logical operators for now. You have the AND, you have the OR, and what? We have what? The NOT. So let's start with the logical OR, the logical AND. logical and, which has the symbol what, the ampersand. What does this one do? So for the logical and, both conditions must be true. For the logical and, both conditions must be true. So for example, you have int what, h equal to 20. Then we have what, boolean, then has take it. So if you take it to a show, it's equal to true. So what happens here? With the logical and, both conditions that we are going to write should be true. So we have if age is greater than or equal to 18 and has ticket, what should happen? We print out entry allowed. So let me explain it to you. So with the logical and, both conditions should be true. So this is one condition. Is age greater than or equal to 18? So what's the answer? Yes, the age here is 20, which is greater than or equal to 20. And does the person has ticket? Yes. Does he have ticket? Yes, the person has ticket. So we have what? Has ticket is equal to what? True. And in this case, if all these conditions, the first one and the second one are true, then what's supposed to happen? We should print out entry is allowed. Let's run the code and see. Entry is allowed here because both codes are what? Are true. Both conditions are true. Now let's move on to logical or. So with the logical or, at least one of the conditions must be true. So for example, we have what, our boolean, which is what, a student, which is what, false. And then we have boolean, a senior, true. So we know that from the logical or, one of them should be true. So let's compare them. So if is student or is what, senior, then what should happen? If any of these conditions is true, then we should write what, discount applies. Let's run this code also to see. Good. So here we are concerned of this discount is what, apply. So for the logical or, one of them should at least be what, be true. If one is true, then the entire thing is what, is true. Now let's move on to what, the logical not. So with the logical not, in this case we use what, exclamation mark. What this one does is that what, it flips true to false and false to what, to true. So you have boolean is logged in is equal to what, false. So what happens? So if it's not logged in, so it will flip it. It was false here, so the not has what, flipped it to become what, true. So then we have to print out, then we have what, please log in. Yes, please log in. Good, as you can see here. Now you can chain this together. Here's an example that we can do. So someone can drive if they are 16 or older, either have license or are in a supervised lesson. So how do we combine that? So first we define the age which is what, 17, and then has license which is what, false. Then we come here what, another boolean is the person being supervised lesson. Then we say that can drive if age is greater than or equal to 16. So here you see the comparison operators, and has what, has license or is what, supervised. So what we are saying is that a person can drive if the age is what, 18 or 16 or above and has one of these. So first of all, it will evaluate this one, age is greater than or equal to 16, then it will come into the parentheses, then evaluate the two here. So if any of them, because it is an or statement, logical or, if any of these two statements is true, then it will combine it with what, with this one. So here we have what is, the person is 17, so this one is true. Then when we come here, does the person have a license? No, he or she doesn't. And is the person in a supervised lesson? Yes. So if it is true, then what can we do? We print can drive. True. Can the person drive? yes, a person can drive. So let's recap. Arithmetic operators do the math. So watch out for integer division and get comfortable with modulo where we get the remainders after division. Then 2, the comparison operators return true or false. Remember, the double equal to compares, the single equal to what assigns. And the third one, logical operators combine conditions. The AND operator requires what both or requires what one, and then not what flips. In our next video, we are putting all this to real use with if statement and control flow. That's where your program starts making actual decisions. You won't want to skip it. If this helped, hit the like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Drop any questions in the comments. I read everyone. See you in the next one.